All right, welcome along to what we did at this boiler control panel. So on arrival, the boiler control panel was showing lots of lights, but most of that wasn't in use, had been removed. The supply air fans had gone, extract air fans had gone, and the control panel at the top had stopped working completely. The building was being completely refurbished, so they'd taken out the hot water tanks and they'd taken out some of the radiators. So we had a totally new system, really. We found that there was 400 volts going to the boilers, where someone had a go at trying to sort it out before. None of the boilers were working because there's 400 volts. Inside the panel, it was just a wash of obsolete components, obsolete wires, and all the parts in there that just wasn't needed anymore. So we had a look at all the cabling and decided that there's just nothing there to salvage in terms of the existing setup. So we strip it all back and start again. As you can see there, all the contactors are still in there. We've taken all the cabling out now and all the wiring, and we're bringing it back to its most basic parts. We've stripped it all out, and the contactors are controlled by a 24 volt transformer for the signalling, and then the contactor itself will close and carry the 400 volts for the three-phase systems. So we've now stripped it back down to the only contactors we need, plus a changeover switch for the pumps. The system had 2 pumps, so we kept 2 pumps in, and we kept a changeover switch, so if one pump breaks down, they've got the option of switching over to the other pump. The client wanted more control, so we put in a new hive heating system, and this was then wired into the existing heating system with the existing valves. So you can see the valves opening there. There was 2 zones, an upstairs and a downstairs zone, and that controlled the 2 motorized valves. So we put 2 hives on there, one to control the upstairs, one to control the downstairs. It worked perfectly fine. We brought back in the emergency stop switch that had been bypassed originally. So the emergency stop switch is part of a 24 volt loop that runs all the way around. It also links into the fire alarm system, so that should the fire alarm go off, it shuts the heating off. It also has 2 sensors that are above each boiler, so that if there was a fire, it would then also isolate the power to the boiler and shut everything down, shut the gas off. 2 pumps over on this wall. They are both in the same manifold but run independently, and those can be switched by the changeover switch. This comes down to each boiler. Boiler showing a fault code because it's got a dodgy injector. So back at the panel, we've got the DIN rail connectors all lined up there, and you can see each circuit coming in. And then that comes down to the main shutoff, 3-phase shutoff, which then comes right down to the bottom and powers this 24 volt transformer. The 24 volt transformer controls all of the contactors and the switching and the emergency switching. Back on the front of the panel, we've got 2 hives and 2 hive receivers. Each one controls a floor. So we got the first floor, which is on 1 hive and 1 motorized valve. Then we've got the second floor, which is on another hive, which is controlling another motorized valve and another boiler. As you can see, we've just checked that the changeover switches are working on the pumps, individually isolated. They're big old pumps because it's a fairly large building and the water's got a long way to go, so they've got a lot of water to shift around. Over here, we've got the emergency gas solenoid and shut off down in the corner, and the 2 boilers, which were also individually isolated. So back at the board now, you can see everything's functioning as it should. The hive's just trying to connect to the individual thermostats as it's going through its setup sequence. It's important to factor in with hives is it takes 15 to 20 minutes for them to do a software update every time you plug them into Ethernet. So they are a little bit laggy when you install them. It takes a little bit more time. But all the boilers are working as they should, functioning and firing when they're called for heat for each floor. The client's happy because the heating system's been salvaged in the way it was before without a huge expensive outlay on an entirely new control system. And it's all good and up and running. Got a problem? Give us a call.